Okay. The audience should be very familiar for the first part of what I'm saying here and showing with this ecosystem vision that is suggested, defended and stimulated by the Commission under Horizon 2020 program. So the three-pillar vision with technology, infrastructures and applications, okay, and structured with different stakeholders. ETP for HPC for technology, PRAISE for infrastructures, and the centers of excellence for computing applications for uses of HPC. And though the technology and application parts are under the umbrella of a so-called public-private partnership, where the Commission has provisioned 700 million euros over the whole period, which is not such a high amount of funding, but is supposed to be a stimulation to attract more funding from national sides for the member states and from the private side as well. Okay, so far it has been working fairly well with stakeholders, including ETP for HPC and its periodic strategic research agenda, providing input to the Commission that, if they're happy with that, turn that into programs, calls for projects and funding. So here we are now. There have been a series of first call for projects with quite a limited amount of funding until now for the first part of Horizon 2020. So this is a short reminder. I will detail a little bit more. And we are now with a portfolio of projects which are running on different aspects. I would say, roughly speaking, architecture of HPC systems, that's the left column here, and software stack aspects, that's the right column. Mont Blanc is part of that, and this afternoon you will see colleagues from SAGE and Next-Gen IO projects who are part of that as well. So we have the Center of Excellence part. So first part has been funded the relatively modest amount, and for the time being I'd say roughly 50 million on each side, hardware, software, and 40+ million for centers of excellence. So it's a largest fraction of funding for software until now, and a number of other projects to help develop the ecosystem. Okay, so here you have the details. I would just say a few words on the next call coming, because a call just closed last September. Two projects were selected which are not fully public yet because in the process of signing the grant agreement, but 2 more projects should come in addition to the portfolio I was mentioning, more on the hardware side, okay, platform hardware side. And the next coming call is September this year. Most of you are probably aware. It's 40 million for a number of software-oriented projects with different topics of the software stack or closer to applications. So this is easy to find. Now, if you have questions, please ask me if I can help you on finding the proper information on that. So next part, second part, I would say work program 1820 is more or less the second part of Horizon 2020. It's being defined currently by the stakeholders and the Commission, and the PPP, the ETP for HPC are part of this dialogue with other stakeholders. This is work in progress. For instance, we provided input, ETP for HPC Association, December last year. It was not only ETP, it was a collective work with a lot of other stakeholders, such as PRAISE, centers of excellence, etc. So this is being considered by the Commission that now have sketched a first plan for this work program. Okay. So we are now developing the full, I would say, more technical version of the strategic research agenda, as usual. That will be available this fall, logically. It is planned and starting now. And the pieces of the work program are being drafted by the Commission, and this usual process with specialized committees, member states, etc. It's quite a specific and very touchy political process. But the basic definition of what they want to put in at the Commission level is more or less known as of today. So I will give you a quick hint on that. And this has been influenced, or is being influenced, by the communication issued by the Commission last April. We discussed already at Orap. I presented already. And that was an evolution and a widening of the scope and a renewed ambition, I would say, for the strategy stimulated by the Commission for HPC. And it's about this European Cloud Initiative, setting up European Open Science Cloud, that is some kind of user interface, I would say, for the large data and computing infrastructure in Europe for scientists, and the underlying European data infrastructure. So this is the elements, the wording you would find in the papers by the EC. So this influenced the input we put from ETP and other stakeholders, and the Commission is putting that in the shaker in the process of trying to set up the program, which is supposed to use the largest fraction of the funding they had reserved in those 700 million. Because until now, like I said, not such a high amount of money has been granted through selected projects. Okay, so the program has, it's about basically 3 tracks: continuation of R&D in the so-called FET projects, about software, some hardware aspects. Now they are putting some effort, or they put some effort in the so-called light part, which is more industrial and with higher technology readiness levels to get closer to integrated systems. And then continued support for applications in infrastructure, centers of excellence, and price. So this is what it would look like. I took an excerpt of a slide from Dr. Kalbe, head of the unit of HPC Quantum Technologies at DG Connect. And this is recent data we got for discussions with the ETP and other stakeholders last week in Munich for our General Assembly and other workshops. So typically they are now pushing to the more structured vision of the acquisition of 2 pre-exascale in 2020 and exascale machines, capable machines in the time frame of 22-23, and putting that in a more global perspective of a larger federation of data and computing infrastructure all across Europe, and going on stimulating technology development in Europe, and of course closing the loop with applications. So typically they are trying now to put more focus after the first part of the program, which was quite fragmented funding on a number of rather small projects. They are putting efforts on trying to define, I would say, a stronger governance with member states and the Commission and other players to go to this more focused objective and trying to better leverage the fraction of funding that is still available under Horizon 2020, and to try to have it combined and matched in the best possible way with national and private funding. So this is typically the path to go to this. And the structure of the work program being prepared, this is extremely preliminary, not all the figures, etc., but it is now being presented by the Commission. The idea is to put in place the different tracks I was mentioning, to put funding in place, which is, in average, possibly in larger chunks, more significant, larger projects to have more impact, and try to be able to better coordinate the orientation of the projects towards the objective at the end, to have those machines. With, if possible, a significant fraction of European technology inside, in the sense of technology developed with intellectual property, labs, teams, vendors in Europe. So important first steps on this path were, for instance, last week also the occasion of the 60th anniversary of Rome Treaty, a digital day in Rome, where a number of ministers for 7 countries, including France and Germany, signed an agreement for further cooperation towards this kind of global vision. So it's only a first step and a declaration of common interest, but it is a first step towards building, like I said, a more focused governance for the whole program. So this is on the web, and you will even find the video. It has been streamed, the postcard, etc. And France was, for instance, represented by our Ministry of Research, Thierry Mandon, and Atos CEO, but there were also people from Spain, Luxembourg, Germany, Italy, Belgium, etc. So this is this may be considered as a beginning of some new momentum, trying to accelerate a little bit, or to keep up in pace with what is happening in the rest of the world. We are aware it's moving fast, and Europe sometimes needs time we need time sometimes to organize ourselves. But there are a number of people that are trying to push in this direction to do a better job, combining European skills and goodwill. Voilà, very quick. update